What's the weather forecast in space? Is there a weather forecast for space? Well, that's what President Obama wants scientists to keep tabs on. The president issued an executive order today trying to get the science community prepared for solar storms that could disrupt us here on Earth.
Dan Bazil spoke with an expert on the subject over at My Science Schenectady. He's here now with what he learned. Hi there, Dan.
Hi there, Benita. Hi there, Jim. Well, good evening to you guys. And solar storms happen all the time. Scientists say that they're like 1 million nuclear bombs exploding at the same time. Yes, they're that big. The problem is no one knows exactly when the effects of one of those storms could strike the Earth. Extreme weather on Earth can cause major devastation, but scientists say it would pale in comparison to what a major solar storm could do.
If we get a direct hit here on planet Earth, it can cause our power grids to go down, it can damage our satellites.
Dr. Valerie Rapson at the Dudley Observatory at My Science Schenectady says depending on the severity of the hit, it could even threaten life here on Earth. Here's how it could happen. Solar flares originate from explosions on the surface of the sun.
The explosions are very strong, and this high-energy radiation, like X-rays and gamma rays, they can be very dangerous.
Those rays travel through space. Earth has been hit a few times in history. The last big one was in the 1800s. But today, with technology so vital to our lives, a direct hit could be devastating.
Our biggest danger is really kind of frying the satellites or sending a power surge through our power grids and knocking out power for a majority of the country or even the world.
Rapson says back in 2015, scientists and government officials felt it was important to prepare the power grids, the satellites, and everything in between in a way that flares would not cause any damage. She says the president's executive order today was a push for action.
To get astronomers together and to help provide funding for solar telescopes and things that we can use to start to predict these flares and prepare for them.
For now, Rapson says scientists know the sun has an 11-year flare cycle called solar max and solar minimum. The last solar max was in 2011. And if you go with the 2011 date, 2022 would be the next solar maximum. And Dr. Rapson says that's probably the greatest upcoming threat. However, she says it can happen at any time. They just don't know.
Hundreds of dead fish are washing up on the shore in Guilford. People who live in the area are asking us to come check this out, figure out what is going on here.
Yeah, so we did. News 8's Tina Detel tells us what she found.
For folks who come to this river, this was really a shocking scene. Dead fish on both banks. Now, there are still fish in the river swimming around, but last week there was a whole lot more. Thousands and thousands of menhaden or bunkerfish fill Connecticut waters. These are at New Haven's Long Wharf, but they were also seen on the West River in Guilford. That's where Maria Payne noticed them last week.
The river at high tide looked like it was boiling water. There were so many fish.
Payne was among many to send in pictures of what she saw once the tide receded. Through News 8's Report It feature.
You know, I just looked like litter for a second. It's like, why is there all this white debris all over the place? And that's what caught my eye.
But it wasn't litter. Hundreds of fish were dead.
Oh, it was horrible. Yeah, they were everywhere.
It was shocking. It was disturbing.
It was also confusing for Joanne Bay Miller, who didn't understand why this was happening. Her first thought was some type of pollution. The DEEP says it's something a lot less sinister. It was a lack of enough oxygen.
Menhaden are notorious for having large fish kills. They'll get trapped into shallow water. Very often bluefish pressing them into shallow water, and their numbers are so great that they suffocate.
Some have never seen anything like this before.
New and disturbing to me. Yeah. I wish I could do something.
These folks, too, are saying, what can we do?
Not much. Nature runs its course.
Last month, there was a similar fish kill on Long Island, and there have been others here in Connecticut. More recently, Old Lyme and Gales Ferry on the Thames River.
These aerials of Australia's Great Barrier Reef are evidence the most untouched part of it has the most severe bleaching in its history. The footage, which filmed over 500 coral reefs during 6 days from Cairns to Papua New Guinea, shows 95% is white and yellow. Scientists say the bleaching happens in rising water temperatures. The coral, under stress, drives out living algae, causing it to calcify, and part of that is down to the current El Niño climate cycle. They say unless the World Heritage Site gets a break in the weather conditions within weeks, some coral areas are unlikely to survive. But the World Meteorological Organization says a break in temperatures is unlikely, as this year looks set to be the hottest on record.
School district dealing with elevated levels of lead, this time in Bethlehem. The district is in the middle of testing its schools as part of a state mandate. So far, results show elevated lead levels in 8 locations at Slingerlands Elementary and 3 locations at Ellesmere Elementary. That includes one hallway water fountain, which has been taken out of service. Testing at the middle and high schools will be done in the coming weeks.
Hi, Leland. Well, not one, but 2 tornadoes striking Oregon's coast west of Portland on Friday morning as the state braces for what's forecast to be brutal, dangerous weather today, this weekend along the Pacific Northwest. More heavy rain and strong winds. Look at this. An F2 tornado with winds of at least 125 miles per hour coming ashore yesterday morning, striking Manzanita, Oregon, along the northern coast. The twister toppling power lines at one point, leaving 15,000 residents without power. Now, the tornado uprooting trees, damaging businesses and homes. Witnesses describe hearing a freight train-like noise. Luckily, there were no deaths or injuries. A second twister hit about an hour south in Oceanside, but caused no damage. Now, today, the Pacific Northwest will experience strong winds that could gust to 50 miles per hour as heavy rain threatens to bring flooding and mudslides along the I-5 corridor in Washington and Oregon. Meanwhile, this as the Southeast is still recovering from Hurricane Matthew. A week after the storm, particularly North Carolina, the death toll in the Tar Heel State rising to 26 after 2 more people were found submerged in their vehicles in Cumberland and Wayne counties. Most victims in North Carolina were killed while driving or walking through floodwaters. Floodwaters as high as 10 feet are receding, and the long road to recovery begins.
And this had so many of you worried this afternoon. Mustard yellow smoke billowing out of the Suncor refinery plant in Commerce City.
Now, cleared up in under an hour, but not everyone is breathing easy. Denver 7 reporter Mark Stewart is asking, should we be worried about what was put into the air? Mark?
Shannon, there is concern, and for good reason. One man describing the scene here earlier today as apocalyptic. The fire department has given the all clear, yet late today I received an email from the State Department of Health saying it needs more information before it can say with a 100% certainty that nothing hazardous was released into the sky. Take a look at some of the pictures we've been gathering all day long. All of this happening at around noon today. In fact, one man describing this to the Wizard of Oz because of all of the different colors, the changing colors in the sky. This was a big deal. Roads were closed. Reverse 911 calls were made. People were told to shelter. There was a lot of worry, all because of a power outage at the refinery, which produces close to 100,000 barrels a day, including gas and diesel.
The white cloud was just everywhere, and it was basically couldn't even see the sun.
At this point, you do not feel any toxic chemicals were released?
No, we do not feel any toxic chemicals were released. I can tell you we live in this area as well, so we're just as concerned as the citizens are.
America fell in love with his red hair, his funny nose, and those big floppy shoes, but now Ronald McDonald is being sidelined. McDonald's announcing it will refrain from using the cheerful mascot at community events. The decision was made as a response to those recent creepy clown sightings.
Clowns are not creepy, they're funny, and they're making a big deal out of nothing.
A Clown Lives Matter march was scheduled for today in Tucson. It was canceled, though, because organizers got death threats. The peaceful walk was initially scheduled to show the public that not all clowns are scary.
New at 11, a flag flap at a local apartment complex has one man battling to keep Old Glory flying. His only prayer could be the interpretation of a state law before eviction notices appear.
Ryan Wheatley has an axe to grind. For 6 months, he's been living with his girlfriend at Ferry Vista Apartments in West Palm Beach, where they proudly displayed Old Glory on their balcony.
My dad was in the Army and my grandfather fought for this country, and I've lost a lot of really close friends for that flag right there.
His passion for the Stars and Stripes took him to the front office after the management company nearly brought him to tears. The flag is in violation of the rental agreement, which clearly states all balconies must be uniform. Therefore, it must come down.
They said that the consequences are if we don't take it down within so many days, I forget what it was, that they're going to fine us first. And after they fine us, if we don't take it down after that, they're going to give us a 6-day eviction notice.
The story seemed like a closed case until we opened the door to the office of Mark Schneider, president of the Palm Beach County chapter of the ACLU.
Florida statute says that even renters should be able to display a flag that's less than 4.5 feet by 6 feet on their rental units.
He dug into state laws, which in this case may override that rental agreement. Furthermore, Schneider says he's not aware that balconies could restrict it either.
Me and her both are going to fight this.
Wheatley's pride is on the line, and he intends to stand with his conscience in hopes of raising a larger discussion.
This is unjust, and it's happening all over the United States where you can't fly a flag because you're offending somebody.
Springs Police Department and the city are facing a lawsuit from the ACLU claiming racial profiling. It comes from 2 African-American men being detained during a traffic stop back in 2015. KRDO News Channel 13's Colleen Secor joins us in studio tonight. And Colleen, the lawsuit centers around 2 brothers who say they were just driving home.
Yeah, the lawsuit says that Ryan and Benjamin Brown were pulled over because of their race, handcuffed and searched and detained at gunpoint, all without legal justification. And it's a video Ryan Brown recorded during that stop that's supporting their case.
I'm recording this.
Ryan Brown starts recording the traffic stop after his brother and driver, Benjamin, were pulled out of the car and placed in handcuffs.
I'm asking for the reason why we're being pulled over.
The suit claims Officer David Nelson and Officer Allison Detweiler, seen in the video, never gave the brothers a reason for the stop. They just searched them.
Turn around. Turn around. Turn around. You see this? You see this? Excessive force.
For what? The officer wound up writing a ticket to the driver for obstructed view, a cracked windshield.
ACLU Legal Director Mark Silverstein says the wrongdoing is obvious.
I believe that this is a clear-cut case of racial profiling.
And before CSPD closed the internal affairs investigation, saying the actions were justified, legal, and proper.
Police agreed that the facts were as described by the Brown brothers.
Am I being placed under arrest?
You're not under arrest.
What's the...
But some say from the images in this video, the situation could have been avoided with one simple sentence.
I am with the Colorado Springs Police Department, and I am pulling you over for this reason.
And now it's a call for action.
We have to continue to partner with each other, and we have to have the police really understanding the need to really handle and respect folks of color whom they're pulling over.
Police said the death toll from a stampede Saturday in the northern Indian city of Varanasi has climbed to 20. Several more people were critically injured. According to a spokesman in the Office of the Director General of Police in Uttar Pradesh, the stampede occurred at a procession in honor of the Hindu guru Jai Gurudev. CNN affiliate CNN News 18 said the stampede occurred in the Ramnagar area of Varanasi. The injured were taken to the hospital by rescuers. An inquiry has been opened by the top government official in the city into exactly what happened.
Disturbed by the continuing drip of staff emails hacked by Russia,
Top former intelligence officials backing Hillary Clinton are raising the alarm. Former National Counterterrorism Center Director Matthew Olsen, who is an informal national security advisor to the Clinton campaign, echoing the assessment of the U.S. intelligence community that the Russian government is the clear culprit.
This is a significant and unprecedented attack. It's an attack on our democratic institutions. So from my perspective, it's not just a campaign issue, it's a national security issue.
Michael Morell, the former acting director of the CIA who has publicly endorsed Hillary Clinton, reiterated his charge that Trump has become an unwitting agent of Vladimir Putin, this on a call organized by the campaign.
Trump is cozying up to Putin because Putin has played him like a fiddle. Putin has figured out what makes Donald Trump tick, and he's playing to it, and Donald Trump's responding.
Morell and Olsen argue that the fact that the hacks are focused only on the Democratic nominee suggests that Russia is trying to sway the election for Donald Trump.
The information that's getting released really is focused on Secretary Clinton, leading me to conclude that their goal is to really sway this in favor of Donald Trump.
Multiple current U.S. officials with knowledge of the investigation say there is growing evidence that Russia is using WikiLeaks as a vehicle to make the stolen emails and other documents public, possibly with WikiLeaks cooperation. How does this work? Former NSA and CIA Director Michael Hayden told CBS the cyber attack begins with Russian criminal gangs.
I think the actual theft is being done by Russian criminal gangs on behalf of the Russian state, at the direction of the Russian state. It's a little bit of a cutout plausible deniability. And I do think the Russians are pushing these in the direction of WikiLeaks and letting them push them into the public domain.
The Trump campaign dismisses any attempt by Russia to help out Trump in the general election, and Donald Trump himself has repeatedly raised questions about whether Russia is involved at all in any of these hacks or attacks on state voting systems.